Are you someone who loves reading but struggles to find the time and motivation? I totally understand. When I was a kid, I was a voracious reader. I would eagerly read the Bible and any book I could lay my hands on. However, as I grew older, I received my first phone at the age of 15, and also about 2 years after, I got my first laptop. That was the beginning of my trouble. I drifted away from reading. Social media, well, as at the time, social media, movies, and games took me to a different abyss of darkness. I discovered this solution a few years ago, and last year alone, I was able to read over 50 books. That was my first attempt. Want to know the secret? Let's get started. Welcome back. So the first step I took was to make it difficult for me to get distracted. That might sound strange, but trust me, coming from somebody that struggled with gaming addiction for years, it's something to be reckoned with. When I was younger, I was addicted to a game, especially one specific game called Football Manager. It took a toll on my academics. One thing I realized about myself was back in those days, but I'm talking university days, whenever I felt I was getting ready for a specific exam or something, I would uninstall the game just to focus. But whenever I feel, okay, I am done with this goal, I am successful with this goal, I install the game back and I go back to my path. Which means there is a little bit of control I gave myself even with the addiction. But wait for it. I am a drastic type of person, which means I go hard on myself. Due to this, I took a drastic step. There's a Football Manager section that says you can as well deactivate your account. Now, this is what deactivation means. Deactivation means, of course, you understand what deactivation means. It means that you can as well just, anytime you try to log back in, except you open a new account, you will not be able to make it back inside. I did that, and it was the hardest few weeks of my life. Eventually, I turned into reading. Now, reading was intentional. I wanted reading to replace gaming. I wanted reading to take over gaming because gaming was taking too much of my time, and I am a busy person. So immediately I got my account blocked. I went straight to script. This is not an advice. I went straight to script and got myself registered. Now I think it's Everand, no more script. I got myself registered and I got started, which takes me to point number 2. If you're busy, consider switching to audiobooks. This has always been my preference. I have never been a fan of physical, or let me say hard copy books for some reasons. I think it's due to the fact that throughout my childhood and some other days, starting from the time when I got my laptop, I have had people give me soft copy of books, and I felt it was also easier just to read and not keep hard copy of books. Audiobooks also worked wonders for me as a designer and educator because I am always busy, always going from here to there, and I felt that was a good avenue for me to make use of audiobooks. I was just always with my headset listening, or basically when I'm in my house cleaning up, I just put it on loudspeaker, get the party started. I clean. I love to clean, so I just put it on, then I do the cleaning. It's amazing what audiobooks can do for you. My third step is create a reading list. Hear me out. A lot of people say don't follow social media advice when it comes to creating reading list. I in a way disagree with that. I think when you're coming into the reading environment for the first time, you might have to listen to some people. When I got started, I think I was always, even till now, I think I have always been looking up to or looking forward to reading lists of some popular people just to update mine, just to have an idea of what I am doing. Because as a starter, you might not even understand any author, you might not know any author, you're just getting started and you just don't want to pick books at random. Well, you might just do that, pick books at random, buy them. But if somebody tells you, okay, this is a recommendation, I don't think it's a bad thing to do. Just pick up some books and you will be surprised how deep you can go into one author. A clear example was when I was age, I think 18, 19, my first few books were books of Sidney Sheldon. It's like an action adventure thriller kind of book. I was hooked on his book, and I think I have read almost all of his books, if not all of his books. Step 4 is to experiment. I have had a fair share of books, I must tell you. I've read romance, horror, psychological thriller, comedy, a lot of fantasy. I've read a lot. As a result of this, I discovered I am a big fan of action detective stories. I love adventure stories also. I do not in any way love romance, and this is due to the fact that I actually tried them. The only genre I think I've never tried is horror. I just feel that, okay, let's leave my feelings aside. The main story here is you can also use the same method to discover yourself, find what you love, enjoy every bit of the books you read. Just try them out. And this leads me to point 5, or step 5. You can always dump that book. What do I mean by that? Due to the fact that you're trying to read 50 books a year, 50 or 10 books a month, 100 books a year, you might feel you're under the pressure of always trying to finish a book. I am this kind of person that you've got to impress me with your first 10 to 20 pages. Basically, first 10 pages. I don't like too long character developments that are too long, that you just keep on. I don't understand what's happening and I am 10 to 20 pages in. I don't like books like that. If I start a book like that, I dump it maybe page 10, page 20. I am over it. If I don't understand what the book is talking about or what the book might be about, and I don't feel any suspense before page 20, I am out of the book. That's just it. I don't care the recommendation, I am out. Now, you don't have to finish books. That doesn't mean you have to count it as the number of books you've read. If you want to, I don't care. But the goal is you don't have to finish your books. If you feel they are not good enough for you, or you do not enjoy the vibe, unless you just want to see it through and see what the vibe is about, what the stories, what the story might end up to be, just skip to the end and read. But the goal is you don't have to finish. And to my last step is always strive to learn something. I just discovered that throughout my speaking, I have never acknowledged non-fictional books. I read non-fictional books. I must say that 40% of the books I read, or 40 to 50% of the books I read, are non-fictional books. And one thing I look forward to that is I am always with a book. I am always with a book or with a note section of my phone to write down new ideas or new English words that I learn from these books. Yes, sometimes when you're reading or listening, you just, oh, that's a new word. You just write it down, not just for the sake of, okay, I want to speak, but I do that just for the fun of it. Sometimes they pop into my head and I use them, and I think that's the goal at the end of the day. So this is something you should look forward to doing. If you do that, this is just a personal thing to me. I write them down and I write everything I need over there. If you've stayed till this moment, let me give you a bonus point. Dine with like minds. If you want to read a book and you feel you're alone into this, you might want to join a community. I do not belong to any community, but I must say my partner does. I have a wife, she reads a lot of books, and I think in a way she influences my behavior. She has a community of book readers, and although I don't share the same field of thought, or basically maybe because I am a busy person, the influence is there. When I see her reading, when I see her doing some other things, I am always, oh, where's my book? And do that. So you might want to get closer to people that read to always inspire you or stop you from whatever you're doing and get on reading. Before I leave, I hope this little bit of information I've given to you is valuable enough to get you started or get you moving on with your reading. I wish you the very best. Please, this is a new channel and I would love it if you subscribe and encourage me to keep on pushing. I wish you the best. Have an amazing day. See you again when I drop the next video. Goodbye.